The steel plate is the core factor that determines the quality of an explosive blade, and this one is no exception. For example, the one in front of us is made from a Grade 1 Qingzi steel originally produced in a neighboring country. The heat treatment hardness of this steel can reach between 60 and 64 HRC. Rust resistance is the second characteristic of Qingzi steel. Although it's not classified as stainless steel, manufacturers add certain anti-rust components during production, giving it properties comparable to or even better than stainless steel. You may not have a real sense of what 60 HRC feels like, so let's put it this way. Even the hardest railway track steel only reaches about 40 HRC. This blade is at least half again harder than railway steel. Most industrial metals used worldwide rarely exceed 70 HRC, because once hardness goes beyond 70, the metal becomes glass-like, extremely brittle, and practically useless. This is why heating metals of this category must be done with extreme care. For instance, the factory here uses a salt bath furnace instead of an electric one. A salt bath furnace heats metal using molten salts made from sodium chloride, potassium chloride, sodium nitrate, and potassium nitrate. And this process is far from fast, contrary to what people might imagine. What you're seeing now is the second stage of the molten salt trilogy, the main heating. The earlier step was preheating. The second stage takes even longer and uses higher temperatures. The following third stage is temperature recovery or tempering. At this stage, the furnace also contains molten salt, but its temperature doesn't drop immediately. It takes an extremely long time, sometimes more than half an hour, for the metal to cool down and turn into a lump of iron covered in a layer of black scale. Because there is still a lot of salt residue on it now, we have to wash the blade in water. This is the most time-consuming and craftsmanship-demanding part of making an explosive blade, the heat treatment. In the past, there were no such complicated procedures. Workers simply heated and forged a chunk of iron. During chaotic times, the quality of explosive blades would drop significantly, though the craftsman's skills remained unchanged. It was during such times that the sunmao, or joint pattern structures, appeared, and some of these have lasted for hundreds of years and still exist today. Now comes the final step before blade sharpening. You can roughly understand this as initial repair and rust removal. During the cooling stage, many rust spots form on the blade, sometimes covering the entire surface. The results after treatment are immediate. This difference brings new variables, so the master craftsman holding the hammer begins his first correction of the day. He first measures the surface with a ruler. If the blade is too bent, he must hammer it back into place until it becomes completely flat. Only then can it be placed onto ceramic tools and moved on to the next sharpening stage. For an explosive blade, speed and power come from both the material and the craftsmanship. If either one is lacking, the blade won't pass. This is the result after the first round of sharpening, and now we are looking at the second round. One side, and then the other, corresponding to both faces of the blade. The effect is obvious. You can even see a mirror-like reflection on the blade's surface. Although the technique may look traditional, it produces consistent appearance and thickness. Each blade goes through the same process. Now begins the final exterior treatment. Grinding wheels have been used for more than 60 years. The shape and steel plate materials have changed many times, but one thing has remained unchanged: the Chinese characters stamped onto the steel. If you asked local people, few could name them, but for Chinese people, they would instantly recognize them. Grinding is the two-step process that follows stamping. Good morning. Ready to start your day?